Here I am, Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. We are coming to you from the SEC Country studios here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Got Landshark. I got Patrick subbing for Turp on the other side of the glass. The Shrekking crew is here. Excited to see a Thursday here to talk about Mississippi State football and basketball and all manner of Mississippi State sports. You know how we do it here on More Cowbell. I went with the non-sticker side today. We're going to try that. We're going to see how it works. I like it pretty good. Getting a busy desk. It's getting busy on this desk, but things keep coming in, and I keep putting them out there. So I thank you, my More Cowbell listeners and watchers, for filling this desk up with More Cowbell. Hey, More Cowbell's turning 1. It's a 1-year-old birthday party for More Cowbell, March 27th, 2017. Is that right? No, March 27th, 2017 is when we started this show. No, people are coming to my birthday party, trust me. That's when we started the show, the day after Mississippi State beat Baylor in the Elite Eight. Now, we'll have our 1-year birthday party March 27th, hopefully 2 days after Mississippi State beats somebody, or 3 days after Mississippi State beats UCLA or Texas to go to the Final Four once more. Let's see who we got here today. Dylan White checking in from Cleveland, Mississippi. John Burnett from Lafayette County. Man, I'm sorry, John. I don't know what you did to deserve that fate, but I'm sorry. Good morning from Brandon, Mississippi. Hello, Steve Claycomb. Hello, Connie Dillon Smith in Tylertown. I think that's the first time we've ever had Tylertown on the show, or Titletown, as it were. Tylertown's way down there, right? Way down there in southwest Mississippi. Good morning from Sullivan, Alabama. Good to have Lynn Rhodes Gilmer. Morning from Asheville, North Carolina. Hashtag Hail State from Bob Giles. Ringgold, Georgia. Hail State. Thorne, Mississippi, over in Chickasaw County. Danny Higginbottom checking in. So we'll talk today to Steve Robertson, 247sports.com. We'll talk to him about recruiting, about spring football. We'll talk about Nick Fitzgerald's injury and how he looks like he's recovering quite nicely from it. We'll talk about Joe Moorhead, how practice is different under him. We'll talk to Steve for about 10 minutes about football. We'll also talk about basketball. Hey, Mississippi State on a collision course with Rick Stansbury in the NIT. I'm not sure how interesting the NIT Final Four is most years because I don't pay attention. But it's pretty interesting this year with Mississippi State possibly on a collision course with Rick Stansbury. That's something. That is absolutely something. And Mississippi State women's basketball heading to Kansas City right now to try to get back to the Final Four for the second year in a row, playing in the Sweet 16 for the third year in a row. Before we get this started, let's go ahead and see who else is here. Jason Brinson. Hello, Brandon. Hello, Jason. Ask Steve about Mississippi Made, Wade Glass. You know what? I didn't have that on the list. I am going to ask Steve about Mississippi Made. Because the Mississippi Made hashtag from Ole Miss is one of the more preposterous things I've ever seen. How can you be Mississippi Made when you've got less Mississippi players than UL Lafayette? I'll never know. But apparently that's what they're going with. You know, it's funny. They're a national brand. And Ole Miss wants to get national recruits. And they do that every year. And all of a sudden 2019 in Mississippi is loaded. So now they're Mississippi Made. It's a Mississippi-made joke. That's what it is. I'll ask Steve about it. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Hail State from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hello, Glenn Duncan. Hello, Forney, Texas. Stephen C. Wright. Hail State from Birmingham, Boyd Barnett. Boyd Barnett, one of my favorite names that shows up here. I love alliterative names. Boyd Barnett. I wish I had an alliterative name. What would I be? Willie Walker. Can't hear you at all, Patrick. It's been 4 days. You hadn't figured that mic out yet, have you? You're at the top. You're at the top. Well, I don't feel like you are, Patrick, but okay. Okay. Has anybody heard from Turp? Landshark, you heard from Turp? He good? He's good? He's been sending pictures of Terps and Caicos. Ring the bell. It's not time to ring the bell yet, Kevin Ernest. Show hadn't started yet. Calm down. Did you see that Louisville let their basketball coach go? Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise. Louisville has to really start over at basketball. They have to really flush out the problems they had in the program. They just got to get a fresh start. So whoever it is whoever it is. But, yeah, that doesn't surprise me they let their basketball coach go. William Walker, like William Wallace? Possibly. One of my son's middle name is William, so he could be William Walker. Madison County checking in. Hello, David Hamilton. Hail State from Flowtown. What is Flowtown? Is that Flowwood? Florida? floppy place? I don't know. Flowtown. I guess that's Flowwood down there in the metro. All right. Good start. Thanks for everybody being here. We'll talk in. Oh, Drew Newell is checking in from home with a sick kid watching the Avengers. Please tell your kid we're thinking about him or her. I hope your kid is okay. Hope everything's all right down there in the Newell household. Boonville checking in. Hello, Rocky Brooks. My mother-in-law is from Boonville, which is why I'll never visit there. Now, let's go ahead and get started as we talk about football. We have Steve Robertson. We'll have basketball later in the show and a 2-minute drill at the end of the show. Patrick, are you ready? Let's go.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
I get an ego boost every time that intro plays. Jay Langston, a fan of the show, a listener of the show, sent me that intro way back last year when we started the show, the intro of the Hail State electric guitar and then Brandon Walker. That's fantastic. Jay, I can't thank you enough. I try to thank you at least once a week, but it's just it's the best intro in this business, and I appreciate it. Now, you are listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. I am Brandon Walker in the SEC Country studios with the Shrekking crew on the other side of the glass. We're having a good time. We're talking about Mississippi State sports. We'll talk to who you want to talk to. Every Thursday, we try to reach out to Steve Robertson. Today, he's going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about spring football. We're going to talk about Nick Fitzgerald. We're going to talk about Marcus Murphy. We'll talk about all those guys, and then I'm going to ask him about the Mississippi-made stuff because I find it to be a complete joke and an embarrassment from Ole Miss, and he's somebody that's pretty much profited on embarrassing things to Ole Miss, so he should know. He should know. He should have an opinion on this Mississippi-made thing. We'll also talk about Rick Stansbury in the NIT. Mississippi State, Rick Stansbury possibly on a collision course in New York City. That is just very, very interesting and exciting. Not sure how interesting the NIT Final Four is every year, but this year it's pretty intriguing. Last but not least, of course not least, we'll talk about the best team on campus, Mississippi State women's basketball, as they head to Kansas City and try to march to another Final Four. Got NC State, UCLA, and Texas in front of them. Can they do it? I feel pretty sure that they can. And hopefully Mississippi State makes another Final Four this weekend. 2-minute drill at the end of the show. First, let me go ahead and get started and tell you right now it's time to talk to you about the boatload of money you can make this week by betting at MyBookie. If you haven't checked them out, this is the perfect time to get into the action. The madness of March is here. Lay down some money and score big on college hoops. Come join MyBookie today. I would only recommend a service that's been good to me and our listeners. That's why I urge you to make your way to MyBookie. You win, they pay fast without any hassles. You're wasting your time betting anywhere else. Join now, and MyBookie will match your first deposit with a 50% bonus. Use the promo code Cowbell to activate your offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Now, let me bring your attention on the show to this bell right here. To this incredible bell, the junction bell that can be found only at Maroon & Company in Starkville. That's an incredible bell. I got your thumbs up over there. It's a great bell. You know, you can find that at Maroon & Company. Go to maroonandco.com. Follow Maroon & Co. on Twitter. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook. They're all over the place. Listen, I got lost on Maroon & Company's website the other day. It was fantastic. I was just picking out stuff that I wanted, shirts for my kids, shoes, everything. Everything was there. It's a great place. It's located right behind Chick-fil-A in Starkville. Great place. They hooked me up with a shirt. I liked it. Did you see my shirt yesterday? Yes, you did. You were sitting right there. It was fantastic. Fantastic. You know who else is fantastic? Steve Robertson. Somebody that has, he's made his name in the last couple of years. He is obviously somebody who is trusted when it comes to Mississippi State recruiting and other recruiting shenanigans within the state. Steve, welcome to the show.
Happy to be back, Brandon. Hope things are well with you guys.
Well, I don't want to say it wasn't your fault, Steve, but my producer had the volume up way too loud, and I almost died just now. But I'm okay. I'm all right. Let me ask you first, before we get into football and spring practice, Let me ask you this. Mississippi Made, hashtag Mississippi Made. Is it as big a joke to you as it is to me?
It is perhaps one of the funniest things that has happened in recent memory. And
there's been a lot of funny things that happened in recent memory up there.
Oh, especially involving Ole Miss.
Right.
But what's funny about it is how angry Ole Miss people get when you say, "Hey, this is not germane to Ole Miss," and it's funny to see that Brennan Chapman guy, who's a guy from Memphis, bragging about being Mississippi made. And listen, if I was from Memphis, I might feel that way too. But all things being equal, I think it's ridiculous. And I know that everybody has the neat little hashtags and marketing campaigns, but to suggest that you're Mississippi made when the majority of your football roster is from out of state, I think it's a little silly.
You'll bear with me for a second, Steve. Every day I ring the cowbell to start the show, and I forgot to ring it, so I'm going to have to ring a cowbell. Surely you understand. Excuse me just a second.
Sure.
All right, we are officially in here on a Thursday for more cowbell. You know, when I got Steve on the show, I just get excited like a schoolgirl, so I get flustered and forgot the cowbell. Let's talk about Mississippi State. Mississippi State has started spring practice. Joe Moorhead with his first practice ever at Mississippi State 2 days ago. They're back on the field today. Just first things first, what do you notice? What's different about practice under Joe Moorhead?
Well, I'll tell you, Brandon, one of the things that I noticed is the coaches are a little different. And what I mean by that is the atmosphere on the field is a little less adversarial, I guess you could say. And I don't say that to throw shade at Dan Mullen and his staff, but there was a lot of fire, and sometimes it kind of spilled over a little bit too much, even with visitors there. But for a first practice, I thought Joe and his staff were very good teachers from what we saw, and I was really impressed with Charles Huff, running backs coach Charles Huff. When they would finish one drill and go to the next, Huff takes off running. He's running to the drill. You're pretty much wide open. And then gets there and they do the drill and he runs everybody through it. And the word that he continues to use, speed. He wants everybody going 100 miles an hour. And that's impressive. But I think just the atmosphere around practice, it seems to be very conducive for learning and for coaching. Initial impressions were very, very positive, and I think everybody kind of shared that same sentiment that it was just kind of good to be back on the football field, and everybody seemed happy to be there.
Nick Fitzgerald, I watched the videos and the pictures coming out of practice. Nick Fitzgerald, frankly, looks further along to me than I thought he would be as far as this injury is concerned. He looks like he's moving a little bit better. He looks like he's doing a little bit more than I thought he would. Maybe that's my fault for having the wrong perception. What's the feeling around the program for where he's at right now?
Yeah, he's on track, and I think everybody's optimistic about him being 100% for the season. And, yeah, I agree with you. When we went out there on Tuesday, I guess it was one of those things where I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know if Nick would stand by and, observe or just kind of offer encouragement to players and do a little bit. But the drills that we were able to see, he did everything. He was a full participant in practice, and, of course, he's not going to take any contact. Probably until the first game of the year. But I was pretty impressed with how well he moved around out there. That he didn't look to be limited in his mobility at all. And you and I both know there probably will be some swelling that kind of goes along with, the first real practice. But they had the day off yesterday, and I'm sure he'll be good to go today. But he did not look to be a wounded player out there in practice on Tuesday.
There's a player that intrigues me for 2018 more than most. And I don't know why, but he wasn't in the lineup in 2017 because of the injury he suffered last year. But you got the new coaching staff, the new offense, and we can talk about what that means for the running backs. We can talk about what it means for the quarterbacks. But how does Malik Deer fit into this? I think he's the home run threat we were missing in 2017, and not a lot of people are really talking about how he fits into this offense.
Yeah, it's a great question, Brandon, and I agree with you. I think that he's the guy that will be a playmaker because Joe will know how to use it. When you've got a guy like that that's kind of built like a running back or plays wide receiver, and you can motion him to the backfield, you can hand him the ball, you can throw him the ball. He can even throw the football. So he's a very versatile guy, so I'm intrigued to see where he fits. But, seeing him out there on Tuesday, he looked to be good to go. There was some discussions last year. He had that injury in the spring, but Dan Mullen considered possibly playing him down the stretch, but elected to put the red shirt on him wisely. for both his future and for Mississippi State. But, yeah, he looked to be good from what we saw. It doesn't seem to be any worse for wear.
Tight ends. Will Mississippi State discover they have tight ends on the roster again now that we have a new coaching staff that looks like it's actually interested and capable of using them?
Well, I don't know where you can walk on campus without bumping into a tight end, just because of the fact you've got so many on the roster. And so, yeah, I think so, though, because, if you look at the Penn State numbers, Joe was really, big on using the tight end. And as you know, when you've got a great one, they create a lot of unbelievable mismatches out there, and that's what the spread offense is predicated on, is spreading those guys out and finding the right matchup for your quarterback. And I think Farrod Green's going to have a big year. You're talking to some staffers and people that have been around him the past few months, say that his commitment to the weight room and commitment to the workouts has been very, very strong. He's a guy that's leading the group with film and that sort of stuff, and so I expect a big year from him. But I'm eager to see what some of these young guys have an opportunity to do, because State obviously has plenty of options at the tight end position. But Farrod Green continues to be the bell cow, and I think that's going to be big heading into this year.
Talking to Steve Robertson, 247sports.com. Well, I forgot the name of your book. Sorry. Flimflamthebook.com. Thank you very much, Steve. Listen, 2 more questions for you before I let you get out of here. Finish this sentence. The 2018 defense could be Mississippi State's best defense since blank.
Since 2017. I think that last year's defense is one of the best ones we've had in the modern era.
And you don't think You don't think it could be better this year?
I think it could be, and I think there's parts of it that will be. And if you want to go back beyond that, we could talk 80, 98, 99. I think especially up front, I don't know that there's anybody in the Southeastern Conference that has what Mississippi State has up front. And there are going to be some people who hear that and say, well, Steve, there's Alabama and there's LSU, and I wouldn't trade Mississippi State's front for either of those. I think when you bring back the SEC leader in sacks and Montez Sweat, and you bring back Jeff Simmons, a guy that was an all-conference performer and probably an All-American candidate this year, and the people around him. And not to mention you got depth behind them, which is one of the things that state defenses have lacked in recent years. You've had some good frontline starters, but nobody behind them. State's kind of figure out where they got to put guys, just because you've got so many options. Then you bring in Chauncey Rivers, who was one of your best pass rushers last year in practice, and you had to put the red shirt on him. I think when you begin to think about this game starting up front in the trenches, Mississippi State's probably in a better position than they've been in many years. Linebacker-wise, you didn't lose much at all last year. Des Harris was the guy that gave you all he had, but kind of had some diminished capacity as a player due to his injuries over the years, but he was a leader. But from an athletic standpoint, that front seven is going to be outstanding, and I think safety will be good. The real question is really going to be at corner. You've got some athletes there, and Terrell Buckley tells me that this is one of the best groups he's had since he was at Florida State. And I think that's big, and that's high praise from a guy that has played football for a long time. So if they can shore up a cornerback position, and then maybe Jamal Peters and Cam Dantzler starting, or we'll kind of see how that plays out. But if they can get that corner position shored up, I think this could be a special defense and one that we talk about for years to come.
Last question, and Marcus Murphy. Marcus Murphy from Point City, a 4-star. I am a complete homer, and I love having West Point players on this team. And now we've already got a good one in Aris Williams. He'll be gone after the next year. But now we got Marcus Murphy coming in. Not only is he a good player for my hometown, he's also just a good player who can help wherever he lands. I found it interesting that they're putting him at safety first and not corner, like you said, because corner seems like where we need the most help. I would have thought he would have slid in at corner at first practice, but apparently he's at safety. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that could be a situation that he's getting a look at safety while Brandon Bryant's out. It could be one of those deals where they just want him to learn every position in the secondary, which is smart considering his athleticism. But I agree with you. I think long term maybe that's his spot is at corner. I projected him as a safety coming out of high school. I think that he could be an NFL safety, but with immediate needs from a depth chart standpoint, corner might be a good way to go. But all of that said, I think Marcus Murphy can play wherever he wants to play. I think that he's one of those guys because of the fact that he is such a gifted athlete that he can fill in wherever you have a need. And I think they'll move him around some in the spring and kind of figure out where he fits, and that's what spring football is all about. So he'll learn all the checks and the calls and safety and probably get some reps at corner. And Moorhead's even talking about possibly using him some on offense. I think you can find a package for him and then put him in a situation where he can be successful.
All right, Steve, listen, More Cowbell turns 1 year old on Tuesday, March 27th. That's just coming up in a couple days. I want to thank you for being here, and I think it's an honor for you to be able to be on the best Mississippi State podcast in the universe.
Well, I get to do that 3 days a week, Brandon, and I appreciate you bringing up the Boneyard. It is the flagship of the V Sporto Fleet.
Well, I'm not sure what V Sporto is, but listen, Steve Robertson, outstanding as always. You bring the best insight here. Our people, our listeners, our watchers really love it when you show up, and I thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.
All right, that's Steve Robertson of 24/7 Sports. You know, I just love having Steve on the show. He can BS, he can talk football, he can talk recruiting, and he can make fun of Ole Miss. That's really all you need in life to be my buddy. If you can talk football, you can talk sports, you can throw a joke here or there, and then you hate Ole Miss, we're pals. We are buddies. On my Facebook Live right now, I got 184 pals watching because we all hate Ole Miss, we can all jab Ole Miss, and we all like football. Now, Mississippi State basketball heading to New York City, Madison Square Garden. You know, it's just weird how things work out, isn't it? It is just weird. Mississippi State hasn't been in the postseason basketball for 6 years. 6 years, 6 long years since Stansbury left. I don't think this might be Stansbury's first time in the postseason as a head coach. And now here we are, both going to New York City. Utah against Western Kentucky, Mississippi State against Penn State. We'd only meet if we both make the finals, but it's just weird how it adds a level of intrigue to next week's festivities. I'm not sure how interested I've ever been in the NIT Final Four. Well, never. I've never been interested in it at all. But now that we're in it, it raises it to here. But with Stansbury on the other side, it raises my interest level to here. I don't know how big it would make it, but it's just very intriguing to me. And I want to say this. Stansbury is our former coach. He gave us 14 good years. He showed us what's possible at Mississippi State, much like Jackie Sherrill in the 90s, showed us what's possible. He showed us what's possible. Didn't end well, but he showed us what's possible. And Rick Stansbury showed us what's possible. And Richard Williams, certainly before him, did that even better. But Rick Stansbury showed us how you can have sustained success at Mississippi State. I am a Stansbury fan. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good coach. I do. I go back 6 years ago. I think we fired him 1 year too soon. I'm not saying I disagree with removing him. I just would have given him 1 year. I would have given a guy that had 14 years in, I would have given him 1 year to clean it up, get Sydney out of the program, and try to turn things around. I think he deserved 1 year. He didn't get it. Now, hindsight tells us it was a mistake to hire Rick Ray. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was a mistake to fire Rick Stansbury, but it was a mistake to hire Rick Ray, a mistake that we are still paying for dearly. But now we've got Ben Allen. All in all, at the end of the day, we got Ben Allen. We're in good shape. Western Kentucky's in good shape. We've moved on. He's moved on. He's a class guy, and I'd love to see Mississippi State match up with Rick Stansbury, and I'd love to see us beat him by 30 points. I'd love to see it. Listen, I like him. Great guy. I want to beat him by 30. It's just how it is. And I don't know how a lot of fans of ours would react if we played Stansbury. I know there's a section of fans out there that put a lot of effort into crafting this image that he's not a very good coach. Well, Stans is a good coach. And he's somewhere else now. And we have a better coach. Ben Allen's a better coach than Rick Stansbury. But it's just so interesting that Stansbury gets to the NIT Final Four. We get to the NIT Final Four. And it's just going to be the message boards are going to be set ablaze come Wednesday if both Western Kentucky and Mississippi State win on Tuesday. And I can't wait for it. Mississippi State women's basketball in Kansas City. Some of you watching me right now might be headed that way. Some of you might be listening to me headed that way. But Mississippi State going to Kansas City to play NC State and then hopefully UCLA or Texas. Well, not hopefully. UCLA or Texas to go to the Final Four. Last year you beat Baylor. Who did we beat? We beat Washington in the Sweet 16, then beat Baylor, the number 1 seed, to go to the Final Four. This year we are the number 1 seed. This year we have the target on our back. This is not really about NC State. It's not about UCLA. It's not about Texas. It's about us. It's about our team. It's about a 34-1 team that has been excellent all year. That's been in the top 5 from the start, that beat UConn last year. It's about knowing we've been there before, knowing we know how to get there again. It's about knowing there's unfinished business in Columbus, Ohio, where the Final Four is. It's about getting to UConn again or getting to that national title game again and finishing it the right way. What's standing in the way right now is NC State, UCLA, Texas. Who they have, how they play is irrelevant. We just have to show up the way we've showed up 34 times out of 35 games this year, and Mississippi State's going to another Final Four. Remarkable. Remarkable if you think about it. That we're even, it's not that we're on the cusp of possibly going to the Final Four, it's that we expect to go to the Final Four. And it's a program that was built from nothing. And we say it, every time I talk about women's basketball, I go back to this, but it blows my mind how far this program came so quickly. And it's a credit to those seniors who are playing out the string here at Mississippi State: Victoria Vivians, Morgan Williams, Blair Schaefer, Rashonda Johnson, and Tierra McCowan, the junior. It's going to be fun. It's going to be another march to the Final Four, I hope, and we'll see what happens. I think Mississippi State, come Monday, we'll be talking about Mississippi State back in Columbus, Ohio, back in the Final Four. 2-minute drill. This is a question that gets asked a lot. It gets asked a lot. But I want to bring it to this show today because somebody asked me this on Twitter yesterday. If you could add one former player, one former Mississippi State athlete, all sports, if you could add one Mississippi State athlete in all sports to our team for that sport next year, who are you adding? Who are you adding? A lot of the answers I've seen on Twitter were Jarvis Fernardo, Eric Dampier. You know, you want some post presence, you want a shot blocker. I've seen Daryl Wilson. Somebody said Victoria Vivians to next year's basketball team. That's good. Somebody said LaToya Thomas. That's pretty good. Let's see what our Facebook Live people say today. Jay Hammers with the right answer and Derek Woodford with the right answer. I'll get back to them later. Dak Prescott, Fred Smoot, Wayman Hodge. Yeah, Fred Smoot would be a good one. I just don't know what adding one cornerback does. It's good. Don't get me wrong. Charles Rhodes. Sarah Burnside Johnson just found out that I'm Bernie White's cousin. Yes, Bernie White. Starkville. I am definitely Bernie White's cousin. Dante Walker. Men and women will continue to win. Dak Prescott says Karen Morgan DeWeese. Fred Smoot says Adrian D. Brown. And Kevin Wright with the right answer as well. The player that if we added to the 2018 football team that will make the biggest difference is Eric Moulds. And I in the past, when this question has been asked, I've always had different answers. But if you look at the 2018 team, what is the biggest need? And we might have it on campus as a freshman or junior college transfer, but what's the biggest need? If you could put in a first-round wide receiver draft pick, if you could put in a 6'4", 220-pound wide receiver like Eric Moulds that can go down the field, you're a national championship contender. State goes from a really, really good team to a national championship contender. So I think Eric Moulds is the answer there. Number 2. Again, we're almost recycling questions. I've said mine on this show before. I'm not sure I've ever asked you guys on Facebook Live and in the podcast. Hey, tweet at me at bwalker_SEC. What's your favorite restaurant in Starkville? When you go to games, what's your must-hit restaurant? Or maybe you live there right now. Maybe you're blessed and you live there in Starkville. I wish I was there with you. I'm not. I'm in Atlanta. Not making enough money and getting stuck in traffic every single day of my life. It's rough out there, Patrick. It's rough out there. Bob Giles, I have already decided who's going to get that hat, and I'll be messaging you shortly. We have been able to give that hat away, the Maroon and Company hat, and we'll talk about that in a second. Cookout for the kids. Restaurant Tyler says Wayman Hodge. Little Dewey says Karen Morgan DeWeese. Little Dewey says Shirley Williams. Bulldog Burger. I've been to Bulldog Burger once. It's terrific. It's terrific. Crowded, but really good. Harvey's. The Veranda. Restaurant Tyler. Vicky, my mother is in the chat today. My mother is participating. She likes the Veranda. Stromboli's. Bulldog Burger. Camp House. Camp House is really good for lunch. Camp House is a terrific little place for lunch. I don't know the answer. My favorite Starkville restaurant is Anthony's in West Point. That's my answer. Number 3. For $50,000, could you become a fan of your arch rival for 1 year? You have to live in their college town. You have to have season tickets, go to every single game. You have to do their cheers. You have to sing Hotty Toddy. You have to be a fan. You have to have an air of superiority about you, even though you've never accomplished anything in life. You have to eat fake cold chicken tenders during your tailgate. You got to act like the Grove isn't just a field with 14 trees in it. You got to be a pompous Ole Miss fan. Would you do that for 1 year for $50,000? I got no, hell no, no way, oh hell no, Bonnie Williamson Gable. Nope, Ginger Tuck. No way. Would have to be at least six figures. The correct answer is no, says Stacy Stevenson. Hell no, says Matt Armstrong. Drew Wilson says not enough money in the world to do that. You had me until you said you had to do the cheers, so nope, says Jeremy Wickham. Wayman Hodge says negative. Ghost Rider. Nope, not enough money. No. Not one person for $50,000. That's a lot of money. Nobody wants you in Starkville, Land Shark. Nobody wants you in Starkville. Nobody's paying you $50,000 to be in Starkville. Okay, what? Who said that? Who said I would listen to more Cowbell for a year for $50,000? Don't you already do that? You're here. Somebody said yes. James Hurd said yes. See, that's real. That's $50,000 is a lot of money. I wouldn't. Okay, what number would I have to get to? What's your price? Is it $100K? If I got to $100,000, would you say yes? Is it $150,000? Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? And that seems foolish for somebody to spend $1 million on something like that. Jay Hammer says six figures. $150K, $125,000, says Shad Mask. $100K, I'm all in, says Micah Halfacre. $150K. I mean, listen, that's the prices we're talking about. You can go play left tackle for him. Get you a house there. I'd have to say, yeah. $500,000 it would take Bonnie Williams and Gable. It would take Junior Ray $1 million. Is that $1 million or is that? That's $1 billion. $1 billion. I would do it for $1 billion. For $1 billion, I would tattoo Colonel Reb on my chest and just walk around naked. For $1 billion, you get nothing. You get nothing and like it. Number 4, who's your favorite college football announcer or analyst? Your favorite college football announcer or analyst? My mother's actually here. I know who she's going to say. She's going to say Kirk Herbstreit. She thinks he's dreamy. He's getting old now, but he was a handsome devil. Not a bad-looking guy. Somebody said $12 zillion. $12 zillion. Greg Gumbel. Micah Halfacre says Greg Gumbel. The Hail State voice. Neil Price. Matt Wyatt. Jack Crystal says Landon Miles. Okay, well. Mike Tirico. Ethan Flory. Keith Jackson from Kevin Ernest. The guy that is play-by-play from CBS, used to be with ESPN, his name is Brad Nessler. Jay Hammers, Brad Nessler. Brad Nessler is actually my answer. I like Brad Nessler a lot. I liked Ron Franklin back in the day, although, he's not there anymore. Somebody said Brandon Walker. That's correct. That's the right answer. Kirk Herbstreit, Keith Jackson, Dez from College Game Day, Brad Nessler, Rob Montgomery says that. Number 5, what's the most disappointing movie you've ever seen? It's the most disappointing movie you've ever seen. I'll give you time to think about it as I give you my answer. I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy 1, so I got excited about it, and I got my kids in the car, and we went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It was god-awful. It was wretched. It was an awful movie. I was very disappointed. The Star Wars movies, the prequels, the Phantom Menace and all those, those were disappointing. A lot of disappointing movies out there. Major League 2 was very disappointing after Major League 1. Oh, you have something to say, Patrick? Caddyshack 2 might be the worst movie that's ever been made. And yeah, that's a good answer. Caddyshack 2 is a very good answer. Star Wars Episode 2, The Force Awakens, The Second Independence Day. Any Star Wars, says Katitra Clark. Valerian, I didn't see that. Apocalypse Now, says Carolyn Crane Lindley. Gangster Squad, says Jeremiah Body. I'm not sure what that is. Glenn Duncan says a good one. The latest Star Wars was The Last Jedi. I just thought it was terrible. I did not enjoy it at all. When I went to see it in Jacksonville, when I went down to the Gator Bowl, I didn't have anybody with me, so I just went and saw it by myself because I'm really pathetic. But I went and see it, and I couldn't hardly get through it. It was just boring and stupid, and Luke Skywalker was a sissy. Like he was scared of everything. I didn't like it. I didn't like anything about it. Anchorman 2, Home Alone 3, 4, and 5. Well, how big of expectations did you have for Home Alone 3, 4, and 5? That's on you. Jurassic Park 2, Shawshank Redemption. Shirley, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that one. That was a good movie. How did you not like Guardians of the Galaxy 2? It was hilarious. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was shot in the hometown, in the town that I live in, or part of it. The Earth scenes were shot. The first scene where he's driving through the countryside is literally across the street from my house where I live right now. So I watched it. I'm excited about it, and it wasn't good. Somebody says, "Oh my God, Brandon said my name correctly. I'm proud of you." Thank you, Katitra Clark. Thank you. It's a beautiful name. I like that name, Katitra. It just rolls off the tongue. Moonstruck, Health Inspector Larry the Cable Guy. Well, Billy Kelsey again. You can't go to a Larry the Cable Guy movie and think you're going to see an Academy Award winner. All right, that's a good place to stop for this week. Next week we'll be back Monday in the wake of Mississippi State going to the Final Four, in the wake of or in advance of Mississippi State winning the NIT. Going to be a good week. Going to be a good week. Until next time, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. All right, what you got? Somebody said Shrek. That's not nice at all. That's not nice at all. Hey, Landshark, you know there's going to be Mexican food in the building today? 2 o'clock, though. Yeah, I don't know why they're waiting till 2 o'clock, but that's better for us because you'll be free, and when we see it coming, we can be first in line, and we don't have to, like we did last week. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Will there be a clown at the birthday party on Tuesday, says Steve C. No, we had Steve on the show today. Did you see what I did there? You didn't? You're not paying attention to me, are you? Are you guys talking back and forth? You have no idea what I just said. Where is Terp? I want Terp. Yeah, he doesn't pay attention either. D. Curtis is having sushi for lunch today, and Bob Giles likes tacos. I'm not sure why we just got to food and why you guys told me what you're having for lunch, but I like it. I do like it. Where did you get that junction bell? I need one for my collection. Travis Person. I got this at Maroon & Company in Starkville. I think they're the only place in the world that sells this bell. The junction bell, it's terrific. Great bell. But I got it at Maroon & Company in Starkville. Go check them out. maroonandco.com. It's on the website. You can maroonandco.com and go there and check it out. Why is there the NIT? What other sport has a secondary postseason? Wade Glass. Well, I would argue that football has a secondary postseason. I would argue that stuff like the Belk Bowl, the Music City Bowl, the Heart of Dallas Bowl, the Snuffleupagus Bowl, the We Don't Have a Name Bowl, they're all NIT level. So I would argue that football has a secondary postseason. Steve, yes, there will be a clown at the birthday party. His name is Brandon. I don't know about that. Danny E. Pinter had spiral ham and mashed potatoes for lunch. Aren't you in Mississippi? Aren't you in the Central Time Zone? You've already had spiral ham and potatoes at 11:24 in the morning? That's a significant lunch for 11:24 in the morning. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. Actually, you're probably winning at life if you've already eaten spiral ham and potatoes. I don't like ham. I like ham. I don't mean it like that. I like ham. I don't love, hams you cook in the oven, big Easter hams and stuff. I'll eat a little bit of it. That was rude? Who was rude? Was I rude? Probably. On my way to KC to see the Dogs play. Myron Johnson. Good luck, Myron. Good luck, Myron. Yeah, I think I feel good about Mississippi State women's basketball this weekend. It's just so hard to beat a number 1 seed in women's basketball. It's very, very rare. I had a dream last night that we lost to a 16 seed. That we lost on a 3, and the other team had a girl that had 73 points. And I don't know why, but I was standing on the floor watching the whole thing. I was standing at the free throw line, and the game was going on around me. I don't know how I got such good seats. I don't know if that's a new media policy, but that's where I was. And State lost to a 16 seed. as their player had 73 points. Now, I woke up, I felt good because I know we've already beat the 16 seed, so it's not anything to worry about. Cajun shrimp tonight here in Dubai at home. That's a lot going on in that sentence. A lot to unpack there. Cajun shrimp in Dubai. Do they have Cajun food over there? NC State is good. They better be ready. Jay Robertson, you're in Sweet 16. Everybody's going to be good. You got the 16 best teams in the country. Everybody's going to be good. Last year we played Washington at this level. They were good. Had one of the best scores in the history of college basketball. Then we played Baylor, number 1 seed. So every game from now on, it's not, playtime's over. Sarah Burnside Johnson, they're on their way to KC. Why are people bashing Brandon? Are people bashing me? I haven't been paying attention. I think it's just playful bashing. I don't think it's real bashing. I think it's real. I don't think it's real. I mean, I'm terrific. Could you imagine bashing me? Steve C. is having a bowl of chili for lunch. Crackers on top? Of course. Who would have, what kind of monster would have chili without crackers in it? What team do you most fear in our women's bracket? I don't really fear UCLA, Texas, or NC State. NC State's going to be, they're all going to be good. I don't really, as far as fear, I think we're the best team. I fear we have a bad game like we had against South Carolina. I fear that, but I don't really fear Texas, South Carolina, or NC State, or Texas, UCLA, or NC State. I think we're the best team. So I fear not coming out and playing our best, but I don't fear any of the teams. I bring Cajun spices with me every trip to and from Dubai. Buster Bone, you're a very interesting person. Very interesting person. I just see you at the airport with no suitcase, but you got your Cajun spices. Heading to Dubai. How long does it take to get there? Landshark, I give you $50 and a blank map of the world. Can you point to Dubai? Close. Close. You can get within 5 or 6 countries of it. Yeah, I think I could too. I wouldn't. Somewhere in the middle there. Yeah. Will we be seeing UConn again? Says Landon Miles. Will we be seeing UConn again? Well, if we do, that's good because we'll be playing for a national title. I think UConn's going to make it. I think UConn is next level. So I hope we are. Somebody says Glenn Duncan is having an Albuquerque turkey sandwich today. What? What is an Albuquerque turkey sandwich? What's an Albuquerque turkey sandwich? Is it just eating a turkey sandwich in Albuquerque? Does Albuquerque have its own methodology of turkey sandwiches? I got to do something that should have been done a while ago. Excuse me for a second. All right. There we go. Fix that. Schlotsky's, how easy is it to set up on MyBookie? It's very easy. Micah Halfaker, very easy. Just go there and do it very quickly. Just go to mybookie.ag. Very, very easy. Brian McMichael, they need to move the hump back up the hill to the east parking lot past the Sanderson Center. How do you move the hump? How do you move a giant building like that? Anybody got an answer for me? Brandon is a one-eyed man. If a one-eyed man closes his eye, is he blinking or winking? A one-eyed man closes his eye. If I've only got this one eye, all right, I've got one eye now, and I do this. I don't know. It's a good question. Who's your pick for breakout player in football this season? I don't know that he can be considered a breakout, but I really think Malik Deer is the X factor. I think he would have broken out this year as a really special player, and I think I just keep coming back to Malik Deer. I don't know why. I've never really thought of him as our best player before, but I keep coming back to Malik Deer. If I had to pick somebody else, I'd probably go for Rod Green, like Steve said. I think tight ends is about to take a big leap. Went old school for lunch today. Beefaroni with peanut butter crackers, says Torrey Barnes. Don't turn your nose up at beefaroni. Nothing wrong with beefaroni. Marcus Murphy, it is West Pointers and everything else with Brandon. Laugh out loud. I don't know what West Point is. What are you talking about, West Point? I know Point City. I think Simmons goes next level this year. Wade Glass, I think Simmons is already next level. Jeffrey Simmons is already one of the best players in the country. What's the name of Steve Robertson's show, and is it all about Mississippi State football? No, I don't know. I'm not aware of that. Does Steve have a show? No, I'm not aware of that. My dad will be 92 on April 1st. What should I get him on maroonandco.com? Good question. Good question. I'd get him a nice, beautiful cowbell. I'd get him. There's a lot of stuff on there. I'm getting a tie. I'm getting another Mississippi State tie. Couldn't be more excited. I don't know. What do you get for your 92-year-old father? You get him what? A polo? Yeah, a nice polo. The one I wore yesterday would. The one I wore yesterday would be fantastic for your father. How big of a loan do you want to take out? I don't know what Kane Martin's talking about, but it's significant. I need plenty of money. How is your Ole Miss coworker liking their new coach? How are you liking Kermit Davis? You have no idea, do you? You don't know anything about him? You don't know a lot about him. Well, he came from solid foundation and went to Mississippi State University, so you know he's a good fella. I feel bad for him, though. Feel bad for him. Having to go up there and work around all you people. Do you think we'll have 2 or 3 first-round picks on the D-line this year, Chad Mask? I don't think we'll have 2 or 3 first-round picks. I think we'll have 1, maybe 2. Well, then that answers the question. That says 2 or 3, doesn't it? I think Jeffrey Simmons is a first-round pick. Montez Sweat could work himself in. I don't know who the 3rd first-round pick would be, though. I think 2. Yeah, we could have 2. Montez Sweat probably a 2nd or 3rd-round pick, but Jeffrey Simmons is a surefire first-round pick. I think Jeffrey Simmons is a top 10 pick. All right, 12:33. You haven't stopped me yet? Jeez, you just let me go out here and talk about nothing? Nothing's happening. I want to thank you guys for being here. We'll be back on Monday. Had a good time as always, and we just talked about Mississippi State and then God knows what else. So until next time, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.